78 kilo class is stacked as always. We have champions coming from all over the world, and I'm gonna tell you who the baddest of the bad is right now. Before I start off, I want to say that I'm gonna be making this video a little bit more fun, so I'm gonna be doing it in a tier list format. I know you guys love that. So gonna have 3 tiers: demon, dragon, and god tier level. Demon tier level is the lowest level, and those are the guys that I think won't really have a shot at the top half of the bracket, probably going to be in the bottom few. Probably most of them are going to just lose 2 rounds and be out of the game. But dragon tier level, these guys are who I think might have a shot at breaking, 5th place, 4th place if they have a pretty good draw. And the top level, god level, is obviously who I think are probably going to be the top 4, top 3 guys in the class, the guys who have a really good shot at a medal at IFA World Championships. So without further ado, let me introduce the first guy on the list, and he's going to be ANTON MUNGER from South Africa. He's the 2023 South African champ on both arms. 2022, he was 4th on the left and 2nd on the right. And at Arnold's, that was the best international tournament that I could find. Arnold's Africa, I think he was 5th place on the 86 kilo class, so punching above his weight, not too shabby. But other than that, couldn't really find much other information on ANTON MUNGER. So because of that, just based on my gut feeling, I think it's safe to put him both arms in the demon tier level. I don't think he's going to be very threatening to most of the guys, and also he does seem to be a fairly new guy to the sport based on what I found online, so there's that. Second guy on the list is SÁNDOR SZTANEK from Hungary. So 2023, he was the SZTANEK 2nd place on the left, and at the 2022 Europe, he was 5th place on the left, but on his right arm, he got 11th place, and after doing a little bit more research, found out that his right arm typically doesn't do as good as his left. So because of that, I'm going to put his left and right arms in different tiers. His right arm, probably demon level, probably the lowest level. So just going to put him over here next to ANTON. And then for left hand, it's probably a dragon level threat, I think, based on what I've found out so far. Next guy is a teammate of mine, JOON, the gatekeeper. He was a 2021 Singapore champion on both the left and right arm for 78 kilos. At 2022, he was 2nd on the left, 1st on the right, and this year at the Singapore Top 8 tournament, he was 4th on the left, 2nd on the right. I know that his left and right has quite a bit of this discrepancy, so his left is by no means very weak. I do think he is probably like a low dragon level on his left hand, and probably high dragon to a low god on his right hand. So I'm just going to put him as a high dragon, just tentatively speaking. Or yeah, he's going to be mad at me, so I'm just going to put him as a low god. So yeah, a little bit biased, but yeah, this is my list, my rules, deal with it. Next guy is going to be Wisely. He is a teammate of ours as well. He was the 2021 Singapore left-handed 2nd place, and oh yeah, Wisely is also a youth player, and he's also Wisely is also a youth arm wrestler, and he's also only competing on the left arm. Forgot to mention that. But yeah, 2022 he was 1st place, and this year at the top 8 Singapore, 1st place on the left hand. Super strong left-handed guy, especially for 78 kilos. I do really think Wisely has a decent shot at top 2 for left hand, so that's where I'm going to put him up here on the high god tier. Next up, myself. I don't know if this is ethical to rate myself, but it's definitely going to be biased because I know myself best. My left and right arms are worlds apart. My best performance in recent years was 4th place on both arms at the Asians, and this year in Singapore I was 1st place on the right hand at the Singapore Top 8 tournament. So just gonna put my right probably above TERO, maybe a mid to high god tier, because I did beat my teammate JOON at earlier this year. And for my left, I'm just not going to kid myself, just going to put myself, you know, like a mid-demon, I guess. Not very strong on the left. Just hoping not to get last place. Next guy, TERO LOUKOLA. So this guy, I've had personal experience with him. I've pulled him last year at IFA France. 2023 Europe Grandmasters left-handed second place, and at last year's Worlds he was the Grandmaster second as well as Seniors 8th place, so top 8 in the Seniors class after pulling Grandmasters. So TERO is only competing on the left hand as well, but a very solid left-handed arm wrestler. I think he is deserving of a upper dragon level threat level. Definitely has shown himself to be able to break into the top 8. So this is where he's going to be right here at the upper echelons of the dragon tier. Next guy is TERO's teammate and current European champion on the left hand 78 kilo category, MOKSI. 2022 Worlds he did 7th place on the left hand, but at 2023 came back with a bang, defeating people like Johannes Anderson, people like Arthur Krupa. Both of these guys were ex-world champions in the IFA before, and Aku took them down one after another. Definitely, probably favorite for the left-handed category, at least. For his right, not as impressive. Usually a middle of the pack guy, so I'm just going to put him in dragon. But left, definitely deserving of a top dragon tier spot. Next guy, from the UK, I think he's from Ireland, I think, David Gibson. So David is a Masters contender, I think. Or no, he was a Grandmasters contender at last year's Worlds. He was 5th place on the left and 4th place on the right. But I think for the Seniors class, he's not really super competitive. I pulled him on the right hand, I believe, and I beat him pretty easily. David, sorry mate, but just gonna put you in the demon tier. It's probably like a mid-demon, low-demon level threat. Next up, also a Masters guy, but this guy is no joke. YOICHIRO URAKAMI. He's the 2022 Japan Unified Champ on both the left and right arm 78 kilo category. 2019 WAF 70 kilo Masters second place silver medalist. This guy is probably the only guy in this tier list that I'm going to put in the God tier threat for both arms, because that is how strong I think he actually is. This guy is really no joke. Probably going to be very dangerous whatever arm you face him in. So YOICHIRO Urakami from Japan, super dangerous, watch out for him. Also a Masters contender as well. Next guy, DEVIN BAIR. DEVIN is sort of a local legend, if you will, in the American arm wrestling scene. He's currently 2023 ranked 1 on the left hand and ranked 5 in the 78 kilo category. In 2021 Worlds in Florida, he was 3rd place left and right arm. So actually a pretty decent guy, and based on asking friends about DEVIN who have arm wrestled him before, DEVIN is a really solid arm wrestler, stronger on the left, but still decent on the right. So I think for the left hand at least, DEVIN is probably a God tier, but for the right, maybe a mid-dragon tier. So yeah, just gonna put him over here, middle God tier for left, and middle of the dragon tier for the right, right here. Okay, so yeah, that's the list so far. Moving on to Josh Handeland. Also a personal friend of mine. I met him in IFA France last year. He's currently 2023 ranked 5 on the left hand, and at 2022 Nationals in the US he was number 1 for left hand, so pretty strong left-handed arm wrestler. And at the Worlds in Florida he was 4th place on the left, and I know personally that Josh's left and right is also sort of like mine. His right is probably a demon level threat, but his left is pretty decent level. I think he is warranting at least a high dragon level. I wouldn't put him at God tier because he has lost to DEVIN before, so I don't think it's reasonable to put him in the same tier. But Josh definitely knocking on the doors of the top 4. With a good draw, he probably has a decent chance of getting top 4. So just gonna put him right here, and Demon over here. And moving on to the next person, PHAM Chi Dong from from Vietnam. So not that much information on this guy, but I've met him before in person. Haven't really spoken to him, but I've seen him arm wrestle both at Asians as well as earlier this year at Vietnam Open. I know that he's the #1 right-handed guy for 78 kilo category in Vietnam. Not sure about left, but probably also the first place in left as well. And at Asians last year, he was the first place in Masters for 78 kilos. So a pretty decent right-handed arm wrestler. His left, I think it's still lacking. I didn't see him pull at the Vietnam Open on the left, so probably his left isn't as strong. Maybe a mid-dragon level on the right hand, so I'm just going to put him up here. Left hand, probably somewhere like my standard, I guess. Yeah, I'll just put him above me just to be safe on the left hand. But yeah, next guy, a guy from Malaysia, JOON. This guy is pretty strong. 2023 Malaysians, left-handed #1, right-handed #2 from Malaysian Nationals, and at Asians last year, who was second place in 78 kilo category. So his left and right generally do pretty well, but I do think that his right is supposed to be stronger. So just based on just personal knowledge and asking people around, I think his right is probably a high dragon level. He hasn't really been performing as well recently, but I think both his left and right arms warrant dragon level threats. His right is probably a high dragon, his left is probably a mid dragon level. So yeah, next guy is going to be his teammate AMEYR Ho. AMEYR Ho is also a friend of mine. He was a youth contender last year at Asians. He was 2022 left-handed second place and right-handed third place at the youth category for 78 kilos. And also this year at the Malaysia Nationals for seniors, he was left-handed second and right-handed third. So I think this is going to be his first time competing in seniors at the international level. So for AMEYR, I know his right isn't as good as his left generally speaking, but he has been making a lot of improvements. Just based off of a recent competition earlier this week or last week, he has beaten, he did place higher than Jong, so I think he's at least deserving of a dragon placing on the right. But his left is definitely going to be doing better than his right, I think. So high dragon for the left, mid dragon for the right, or maybe low dragon for the right, I think. But yeah, and yeah, so next couple of guys, I don't really have any data of them except for the first guy, YURI CHUB. He's a Russian, I think, based in Indonesia over here. So YURI, I know he's actually pretty active in the region, but he doesn't really place at tournaments, so don't think he's really deserving of anything more than a demon tier unless shown otherwise. For the Taiwan guys, no information on them, probably new guys, so don't think they're going to be much threat to any of the guys in the dragon or above level. And next guy, DOMINIC Johnny. This guy is Malaysian as well, but he's only competing on the right hand. That's why I put him as one of the last ones to review. DOMINIC was the 2023 Malaysian 86 kilo second place and Asians 70 kilo third place on the right. So his weight, I guess, fluctuates a lot, 70 kilo, 86 kilo, and now in the 78 kilo conversation. But just because of his results so far, I don't think that he's going to be much of a threat. Probably going to be weighing in not that heavy compared to the other guys, considering that he has competed in 70 kilos before. So just going to put him at the demon level. Moving on right now to the next guy, probably the #1 favorite for 78 kilo right-handed category. This guy is a legend in Asian arm wrestling, probably one of the most decorated Asian arm wrestlers. That is not Kazakhstan or any country that ends with a stan. His name is Hong Ji-sung. He is the current Korean ranked 1 arm wrestler, welterweight arm wrestler, and he has had pins on Vrez before in the US. He is a consistent Arnold Classic competitor. He has competed for many years, gotten many medals at Arnold's Classics, at the Arnold Classic, and he's gotten decent placings in Asian competitions for the past 10 years or so. Hong Ji-sung, very scary guy, deserves a spot right at the top of the God list for the right hand. And the last guy that we're going to review is Kent Anderson. For those of you guys who don't know, Kent Anderson is the father of Heidi Anderson. That's a familiar name. She is a very famous Swedish female arm wrestler. But Kent, also an arm wrestler himself, just not as high profile. At the 2023 Euros, he was a Masters contender, 3rd place on both the left and right arms. And at the Worlds last year in France, he was 3rd place on left, 2nd place on right. So probably slightly better on the right hand, but he has never really competed in the seniors before at the international level, not that I know of. So I think that's probably for a reason, and just for that, I'm just going to be putting him in the demon level because I don't think he's going to be much of a threat. But yeah, that is the tier list, guys, for the left and right hands. Wow, this took so much research, so much scrolling through Facebook pages, shitty arm wrestling websites. Guys, hope you enjoyed. This is going to be an exciting class. I'm competing in it, so of course it's going to be fun. See you guys in the next video.